They say the dead don't speak unless you're really ignoring them.
Maria Martin vanished in 1827. Young, poor, unmarried, aka invisible.
But then her stepmother started having ghost dreams, and that's when shit got weird.
Come join us. It's a Victorian mystery with a bonus Ghost Girl DLC.
Just your average 19th century haunting / femicide.
Honestly, the ghost was more reliable than their justice system.
This is Spookology, and tonight we're digging into the Red Barn murder.
So grab your shovels and come join us.
Yes, do it. How about if I open the paperwork first?
Yeah, that would work. That would work. Gotta get your story and everything.
It might be smart.
Tell the listeners what they need to hear.
You sound very judgy, Bacardi. Very judgy.
I'm never judgy. I'm just trying to help you out and give your best presentable as possible.
All right, so let's talk about Maria Martin. So Maria was born in 1801 in Polstead, which is a part of a small village in Suffolk, England. She was the daughter of a mole catcher named Thomas Martin and was actually raised by her stepmother, Anne Martin. So I can't find any information on her actual biological mom, but it looks like Anne raised her from a very young age. She had several siblings, but there were only 2 boys and most of the girls. And the girls worked as servants and domestic help, which was pretty common for working class in those times. So they were already poor and kind of looked down on in their little community. And this is back in 1824, so in the 1800s, it's pretty common. She's kind of invisible, right? On top of being from a poor family, she had a child out of wedlock with a young farmer's son. And the farmer was pretty prosperous for their region. So this boy had a good reputation. But as soon as she had that baby, her reputation went in the shitter. His name was Thomas Corder. And in that same year, the baby died in infancy. So rumors started to spread. So she had a lot of tragedy early in her life. She had a baby out of wedlock, and then she was kind of ostracized by the community. She was really poor. She went through a lot. And then things did not get any better. In about 3 years, not too long after losing that first baby, she began a relationship with a young man named William Corder. Now, if the last name sounds familiar, Thomas Corder and William Corder, it's because Thomas is the older brother and William is the younger. That was also scandalous, and the rumors flew about that as well. And then, soon after that, maybe a year after they started their relationship, she found herself pregnant again. So she was judged really harshly for being unmarried and improper. She dated the older brother, buried his kid, and then dated the younger one. She was just trying to scrape by.
She was trying to put her stuff in the whole family tree.
She's trying to keep it in the family.
Yeah, she's trying to get a little taste of all the quarters in that family. The dad, the brothers, all of it.
Maybe she was just determined to have herself a quarter baby because she got pregnant by both of them.
Yeah.
In any case, so no one was really paying attention when she did become pregnant, and then William and she came up with a plan to elope. The plan was for her to sneak out of her house, dress in men's clothes, and meet him at the local Red Barn, which they used for storage for the crops in the area. After that night, she was never seen again.
What I understand, she made a very pretty man because she was a very pretty woman.
That's what I hear. They say she was beautiful. The sad thing is that she was so young and so beautiful. I think she was 24, and she just disappeared. No one paid attention because they didn't like her reputation. So no one went looking for her.
She was 25 at the time of...
Was she 25?
Yeah.
She was somewhere around there. I'm not great with the math. I just read. This night that they had this plan, when she snuck out of her house, this was May 18th of 1827. Okay, so that's noted. Her family made note of that. So she tells her family that this is what she plans to do. She borrows clothes from the boys in her family and she sneaks off. She doesn't want to be seen by anyone in the village. It's supposed to be a big, like, shameful secret, right? But when she gets married, that's supposed to fix everything. And then the baby will be legitimate. She was never seen again. So the Martins are like, what the hell's going on? Her dad, by all accounts, he wasn't a terrible dad. He was just poor. He had a lot of kids and he was working probably 12 to 14 hours a day, given the time and their class, their social standing. So he didn't pay too much attention to the kids, but he did eventually take notice because they started to ask about her, like, what's going on? Because William Corder was still in town. He was still around. They would see him. He would visit them. He would come to their house and he would bring them letters from her that say that she went on ahead to Ipswich or Yarmouth, or that she settled down in London. And then eventually the story became that she was going to marry someone else and she was happy.
So let's get this correct. William Corder is the brother she was planning to marry, right?
Yes.
And then the other one was the older brother that she
Details
had a
about
baby with, but the baby died.
Right.
And then after that, she left him, or they just grew apart. And then she went after the other brother, William Corder.
Right. And then she got pregnant again.
So what's the guy's, so is their last name Corder, or was the brother's name Corder?
So it's kind of confusing because the dad's name is Thomas, but the older brother's name is Thomas as well. And then the younger brother that she was going to marry when she disappeared, his name is William.
Okay, so they're all named Corder. It's just Thomas Corder and William Corder are the brothers, but don't get it confused with the dad is also named Thomas Corder.
No, the dad's name is Thomas Martin.
Oh, Thomas Martin. Okay.
Yeah. So there's two Corders, but there's also two Thomases.
So Martin is the girl. That's her last name, right? Maria Martin.
Right.
And then her dad's name is Thomas Martin.
That's her family.
Same as the older brother, but the older brother is Thomas Corden.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's a lot. Everybody was either Thomas or Edward back then, right? Or William. So it's easy to confuse them. So, and then she sneaks out in May of 1827. And as she tells her family, like, our plan is to elope, so we're going to run away, we're going to get married, and when the next time you see me, I'll be legitimate, and the baby will not be a bastard, right? So she's thinking there's hope. Her life's going to get better. This boy is, reputable. He's from a good family. They have more money than her. So she's thinking her life is about to change.
Okay.
And then she disappears.
Okay. All right. So we're up to date on this.
And William's still around. He's coming to visit her family. He's bringing them these letters that are supposedly from her saying she's happy and she just too ashamed to come back. And eventually that she decided to marry someone else.
See, the family should have knew right there. Like, if it was today and age and this shit's happened, the family would have knew, oh, this guy is full of shit. Because women don't, like, I'm not saying all women, just saying some are like, oh, I don't care what they think of me. If I love this man, I'm going to be with him. She would have sent letters back to this guy saying she's going to marry someone else. Why would she send letters back to William if she's going to marry someone else? She would just come back.
So it's kind of amazing that. Else. Right. Someone was. In right around the late summer of 1827, so same year, it's only a few months, she starts having dreams and they're repetitive. She said she had at least 3, but they happened like over and over. So she doesn't remember all of them clearly, but the 3 she remembers is Maria in a white dress in front of the red barn where they store all the like grain and stuff from the county and pointing at the floor, never speaking or anything. She looks really sad in the descriptions and says that she looks forlorn. She's quiet and she's pointing at the floor.
Listeners, what the mom is having is someone you guys don't know. And if some of you guys do know, kudos, but it's called visitation dreams. These dreams is where the dreamer experiences a presence or interaction with a deceased or loved one, or a sense of closure or grief. It's also like a precognitive dream. It manifests Like, even though it's not her blood daughter, she had a affinity with her. She loved her. She's seen her as her own. So that's what she's having. She's having a visitation dream from the daughter, showing her, hey, I died here.
And she has this dream so many times that eventually she's like, Thomas, she tells Maria's dad, you got to go look for her. You know, we haven't heard anything from her directly. Everything's coming through this William guy, and she's supposed to be with him, but he's still here. So you got to go and figure out what's going on. So eventually he goes to the barn. And he goes to the spot that Anne tells him she's seeing Maria point at in her dreams. And when he pulls up those floorboards, he finds her body in there. So the crazy thing is that according to all accounts, and looking at a map of the Suffolk area, this farmland, the Red Barn is nowhere near anything you can see from their house. It's not in eyeline. They basically work the land all the time, or they work as domestic help in the village. But she's seeing dreams of a building that's out in the countryside that she can't see from her house. And she can describe exactly the spot where Maria's pointing. And when Thomas goes there and pulls the floorboards up in that spot, he finds her body. That's pretty crazy. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Don't you think? So they used to have these underground grain bins where they store the threshed grain after it's been harvested, like when it's getting ready to go to the mill. So it turns out that her body is in one of those. Maria had been shot in the head. She had been stabbed upwards of 12 times, and her body had been mutilated, but I'm assuming from beating, maybe. Not so much like ritual mutilation, but like probably, a violent fight. So right away, the family's like, you got to go find William Corder. Guess where he is? Like I said, this was like late summer, right? So she disappeared in May. It's about June when Anne starts having the dreams. By September of 1827, this guy, he has moved to London. He has changed his name. He has married another girl. And she's from a good family. She's from a richer family. And they started a boarding house for young girls that they're running in London under an alias. He has a new wife.
Where did he find her?
Like a great many of our historical murderers, he met her via a Lonely Hearts ad.
And well, at least we know Tinder was back then too.
It was Tinder. It was Tinder in the 1800s. His ad read, a private gentleman, aged 24, wishes to meet a young woman with a view to matrimony. You landed him a rich girl.
Sugar daddies nowadays, sugar mamas back then.
Sugar mamas. The heiress of a rich family. I mean, she was set to inherit, but she couldn't do anything with the money. So she needed a husband to do all the money things, make all the money moves. That's the way it works back then. I'll be damned. Let me just say that. Don't worry, guys. If any of you spooky nerds decide to send us money, I will handle it. I will not give it to my husband. But yeah, do that. We need your money.
Yeah.
So yes, he has a new wife. Her name is Mary Moore, and she's rich. And they opened this boarding house.
Oh, don't tell me he was messing around with these boarding girls. I have the feeling that this shit was going to come up. This man shot and killed his quote unquote baby mama, soon to be wife. He had a sugar mama, and he was definitely messing with these girls on the side. I don't doubt it.
I don't there's no records of it, to be honest. I'm just saying, a guy who can do that to a woman that's pregnant with his baby, he shouldn't be around young girls. He shouldn't be around children at all. He should be locked up.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, he did it because obviously William Corder is lying to her family, and he forged letters in her name and said that she was like traveling around and that she went and married someone else with his baby, which is unheard of in that time, And what pisses me off is that Maria wore pants for this man, and he repaid her with a bullet in the head.
Yeah. And if some people don't know, pants were a big no-no back in those times for women to wear. It wasn't illegal or anything like that, but it was very, very frowned upon. So she was taking the chance of people ridiculing her even more.
Right. It was unladylike and unseemly. As a matter of fact, I have a story about a woman who got herself dunked in a river in Virginia, literally because she wore pants while she was farming. I mean, it pissed her neighbors off. I think it was a thing. Like, remember when they weren't supposed to show their ankles and you couldn't see the line of her hip, but pants hug your waist.
Yeah, and on that topic right there, some men had ankle fetishes back in those days because they could never see a woman's ankles.
Okay, now that's the creepiest thing we said this whole fucking episode.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
What the fuck is an ankle fetish?
It's because the women always wore gowns that covered everything. So like today we have a lot of fetishes for people. People have feet fetishes, other fetishes like that. They had ankle fetishes back then.
Well, that's like the Japanese geisha. They have this very like flourishing way of pouring tea where they flash their wrist a little because you can't see their wrist in those kimonos. They flash their wrist a little, and the businessmen they get all flustered. And so, like I said, he was arrested April 23rd, 1828. So almost exactly a year later, because she disappeared in May of 1827. And the police tracked him to Brentford, London, to his boarding house for young girls, no less. So they tracked him via letter postmarks because he was still sending letters forged in Maria's hand to her family.
Okay, so he wasn't hand delivering them. He was just having them mailed to his family, posing as her.
Well, when he was still living in Suffolk, he was bringing the letters as if she was giving them to him. But when he moved to London, he started sending them posing as her. Yes.
This guy, like from what that's telling me, this guy is pretty smart because sooner or later, if he keeps on hand delivering the messages, then they're gonna be like, oh, why is she like it was very taboo for a woman or a man to cheat back then. It did happen. I'm not saying it didn't, but it was very taboo. Back in those days, I know that for a fact that if a man found another man sleeping with his wife, that man had the legal rights to shoot that man down and kill him back in the 1800s. And so this guy was like, why is Marie sending this guy letters to give to the family? So he probably met this woman so he can get out of there and keep his ruse going about her being alive so that he didn't get caught. That's why he probably married this girl, to make it a front so that he could keep sending the letters to keep his front going.
That's a good angle, because I didn't even think of that. In order for him to continue acting like she's alive and she ran off with someone else, the letters have to start coming directly from her, because her husband's not going to be cool with her baby daddy just picking up these letters to bring to her family. You're right.
Yep.
Well, I'm so glad that he continued to do that, because that's what fucked him. They tracked the letter postmark to this guy. His alias was John Houghton. And when they got there, they realized that he was William Corder, in fact. He seemed almost respectable. When the police finally found him, he denied ever knowing Maria. He claimed he didn't know anything about her or her family. But the truth had already begun to unravel, and the body under the Red Barn was damning enough. So they had Maria's body, discovered beneath the floor of the Red Barn. She showed signs of multiple injuries, including 1 gunshot wound to the head, 12 stab wounds, and possible strangulation. So I had missed that note last time we looked into this. Apparently during the fight, he choked her ass out. She must have made him real mad.
Oh, yeah.
They also found 2 pistols, one of which matched the bullet that they found in Maria.
Okay, that's kind of getting me, though. Like, how do they match the bullet? Basically, like, there wasn't, like, any forensics back then.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. But back then, they didn't machine their pistols. So a lot of hand pistols were custom made for people. And so was the ammo.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know.
They found that pair of pistols, the matched pair, and the ammo that matched the bullet they found with her. And both pistols were in his possession. So it was the pair that was made by a gunsmith for him, or like for his great-grandfather or something. And it was a matched pair. So the ammo could have come from either one of those 2 pistols, but he had both of them in his possession. I would have tossed that shit.
Oh, hell yeah. But you got to remember, they're probably worth money or something like that. And he was thinking down the line that, hey, I could probably sell these later on. so you can't just throw it.
Yep, and it was from his great grandfather, so it's probably like a family legacy. You know that shit was super expensive.
Yep. So he ain't gonna sell that. He ain't gonna sell that or throw it away. So how do you like for the listeners that want to look up this place of it? How do you spell Suffolk?
Suffolk is spelled Sufffolk.
So listeners, if something feels off about it, you guys can go and look up. Also look up Maria Martin or any of the people, Thomas Corden or William Corden. So you can do some research yourself if you find this topic very interesting to you.
That's what I would do. And then the Martin is spelled Marten instead of In. Interesting, right? They also, this is really stupid. They also found the forged letters, like practice letters that he had written to Maria's family after he left.
Now that's stupid. He should have threw those out.
So he had those spare letters and even letters that he was planning to send later from ever since he moved out of Suffolk to London. And then there were obviously the witness testimonials. There were over 100 witnesses, Cardi. I don't think there were even 100 people in that town, and 100 people came to court to say, yeah, I saw him by the barn.
Oh, they just wanted their clout. They wanted their 15 minutes of fame.
Well, I think people were really pissed off about this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Once they heard the story, they were all like, well, fucking burn him. So William Corder was arrested nearly a year after Maria vanished. At first, when they arrested him, he denied ever knowing Maria. He said he'd never met her before.
Liar.
And then after they explained that they had witness statements from people saying that they had seen him around the barn or in that like general area on the countryside the night she disappeared or the next morning, and he was acting funny, and that her family recognizes him as the guy that she was supposed to marry, he started to give a little bit more and more of the story, but they were very inconsistent kind of confessions. But in the end, he gave himself up. He told the whole story. So the trial began August of 1828, and it was less a courtroom and more of a theater. Newspapers devoured every detail. Vendors sold Red Barn-themed souvenirs. Like when he finally came out with the confession and said, I was at fault and no one else was to blame for her murder, they actually took his words and put them on a pamphlet and sold them as a broadsheet for a penny.
Damn, a penny? Damn, that was a lot back then. A penny for a little pamphlet. Woo.
Because when this happened and rumors spread that a ghost had narked on him and he was actually guilty and getting arrested, all of England wanted to know about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can only imagine.
And that's not all. There was so much more merch, like souvenir illustrations of William Corder while he was in court and Thomas Corder there to visit his brother. So even more scandal for poor dead Maria. And then they actually stood outside of the courtrooms and sold lockets full of quote unquote Red Barn dirt. That shit was definitely not actually from the Red Barn. And wax figures of Maria and Corder were displayed in Madame Tussauds before the verdict was ever in. He still pled not guilty. The jury deliberated for 35 minutes and they returned a guilty verdict because, of course, most of the evidence is circumstantial. It's like eyewitness accounts and what her family said and the fact that she was found where she was supposed to meet him, that he had consistent access to the barn that the town used where his dad was a farmer. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. There's no ifs and buts about it. That man was like, they were going to find him guilty.
Yeah, he did it.
They didn't even need to deliberate. They could have just all stood up and said guilty right then and there. They didn't need to go out and just wait for 35 minutes. They were just like guilty.
Yeah. There was no arguing in that deliberation. They were all just like, should we have a snack? And then we'll go tell them he's guilty.
Yeah.
So the night of his execution, something shifted and he actually confessed. He wrote, I alone am guilty of the murder of Maria Martin.
Him saying that I alone killed her, but then switch up and say that I did not stab her. That means there was an accomplice, and I'm leaning towards the brother.
You think so? Like the brother was like, we got to get rid of her. We got to she's shaming our family.
She killed my child, and now she's pregnant with yours.
Now she's trying to have yours.
Yeah.
I never thought of that angle of the older brother being jealous or angry about it. It turns out that they had gotten into an argument because she was lower class and he wanted to marry up. And so he was disappointing her. And she, of course, got angry about it. He said he lost his temper.
That was a crime of passion right there. That was a crime of passion right there.
But I mean, he stabbed her more than 12 times. So I don't know if you would really call that losing your temper.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of passion. Have you ever tried to stab something 12 times?
I've never tried to stab anything once.
He claimed they argued, that he had shot her in the heat of the moment, but he denies stabbing her. She was stabbed over 12 times. She was strangled, but he's still saying, like, I didn't do that part. So he was definitely sentenced to death. Well, at the gallows in front of 7,000, can you imagine 7,000 people in one town? 7,000 spectators. He gave his final words. He said, I am guilty. Quote, my sentence is just. I deserve my fate, and may God have mercy on my soul. But nothing to Maria or her family. Just, poor me. God help me. Please forgive me.
They got a movie for this too.
Yeah, I didn't know about the movie. I didn't see that.
Yep, they got a movie. It's an hour and 10 minutes long.
We should check that out. I should have watched that for this.
It's I believe it's on Amazon for $1.99.
Oh yeah.
It's called Maria Martin or the Murder in the Red Barn.
It's a documentary.
Let me find out.
Okay.
No, it was not a documentary. The synopsis says, in 1820, rural England, a young girl is tricked by a villainous squire's promise of marriage. And when she becomes pregnant and disappears, a gypsy lads in blame. They probably took some initiative and changed it up and all that stuff.
Yeah, but at least it's her story. I mean, in the very beginning, when she, like, for a whole year while she was dead under a barn, nobody even noticed except for her stepmom.
Oh, so it was a whole year that that guy was holding it up?
Yeah, so she disappeared May of 1827, and he was arrested in April of 1828.
Oh, wow. He kept that up for a whole year.
The crazy thing is that no one else noticed she was gone. It took her dad a while to notice she was gone. The only person who really seemed to care was Anne. So whether it was like a precognitive dream or a nightly visitation, or it was just her instinct saying something is not right here, she was the only person who noticed, and mostly because this girl was poor and invisible. And it took her ghost saying, hey, I'm gone. Somebody come take me home for her to get found, which is, I think it's really sad. But it's typical. We're human.
Yeah. But wasn't he also well off to do? Like he had money. That's why Marie was trying to marry him or
his older brother.
His brother.
Pretty much, yeah. She was trying to get out of her hole. Yeah, he came from a prosperous farm family, and they owned a lot of land in Suffolk, which is why he had the money to go off and marry like someone even richer because he could afford the lifestyle.
Yeah. And then like that's the crazy thing though. It's like the stepmom. The only reason why she was found and the only reason why this guy was found and charged was because the stepmom, not the real mom, people, not the real mom, but the stepmom loved her daughter so much. And the daughter knew that, came to her in her dreams and told her, hey, I'm dead. I'm in the red barn.
Yep, come and get me here. In enough detail that her dad could go there and find her in the right spot. It's a big barn.
Unless a stepmom was in on the murder, which I highly doubt that is possible. The mom and her had a deep connection to where the daughter can come in spirit form to her dreams.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Surprisingly.
Go ahead. No, you go.
So surprisingly, a lot of people did not speculate that. And it's something that I thought about, but I was like, and she was also a poor woman married to a mole catcher. So it's not like she had this great reputation that people were trying not to question her or step on her toes. But nobody thought that this lady had dreams about her stepdaughter going missing. And then all of a sudden she knew where she was buried. Nobody questioned that.
And considering the time, the 1800s, okay, her bringing up something like that. And plus, like, they were next to Ipswich. She's giving him details, which her stepdaughter gave her the details of that barn. So that's the crazy thing is like that's how you know like that this was real, that this is a real ghost, is that gave the stepmom full details on the barn.
In a dream, though, as a ghost.
to where the dad's like, oh shit, that is real. Like that's where that is. That's where that is. That's what it looks like on the inside. Did the dad or the mom, the stepmom, ever tell him how they found the body? Like, hey, my daughter came to me in a dream.
Yeah. So they told the police inspectors exactly how they came to look under the floorboards, that the dream was repetitive. It's all in the legal documents, like in the investigative documents and in the court procedure documents. So her description of the dream, of the white dress Maria was wearing, the fact that she never spoke, and that she was standing literally at the threshold of the red barn with the doors open and pointing at the spot in the ground where they found her body.
But it had the husband was like, I've never seen her do anything like that. Like back then, like no matter what, like even if you're probably a husband, you seen someone do some dark arts, because everybody was very religious back then. If someone did some dark arts around you, even if you're a husband, you don't want to bring that upon yourself or your family. So they would probably give up their wife in a heartbeat.
Right.
I'm just happy they didn't go the route of she's a witch, get her.
Instead of being like, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, he was like, uh-oh, something's wrong. He trusted her. That's what intrigues so many people in the English countryside. So many people in England, like the whole country heard about it, was talking about it. They were whispering about it. A ghost told on this guy. She got her murderer caught and like brought him to justice after she died. Like that's crazy. So people were talking about it all over the place. Like I said, Madame Tussauds put up wax figurines of them in her museum. That's how famous they were. She was also pregnant, so that was real gross about it. Yeah, but I mean, either way, it would have been pretty tragic, right? She didn't have a great life to begin with, and then she got shot in the head for getting pregnant. And that's what made it such a sensation all over England. People were pretty angry.
And then, like, it's not like I don't think back then they had I plead insanity to not go to jail, to go to like a psych ward or something like that. I don't think they had that. I think it was either jail or nothing, or jail or death.
So what they did, people were really incensed, and they figured they'd have to make an example of William, especially because all of England was pretty much watching. They hung him when he stopped kicking, because remember back in the 1800s, it was still the short drop, right? So they let him hang there until he suffocated. They didn't break his neck for him.
And he was ordered to be dissected after his hanging, a final act of public shame. That was a public execution, and it had all the spectacle of a county fair. Literally, like, you know how they used to do the executions in the olden days.
There was vendors, there was everything. Holy shit.
Yep. People were renting out their balconies so you could get a good view. Children watched. People picnicked. They were selling food. Like we're at a baseball game. They're selling hot dogs. And from that day, Maria's story was etched into the national memory. She became something else entirely. She became a folk legend and a warning.
I wouldn't doubt she became a folk legend. She's coming to her mother in a dream, not even her real mother, her stepmom, in a dream, telling her, hey, this is where my body is.
And William Corder, you know what they did with his fucking body, dude? They dissected his body, like they said, and donated it to like a medical school. And they used it in lectures. But they also restrung his skeleton and hung it in a museum. They took his scalp, they tanned it, and they fucking preserved that shit. One ear still attached. Crazy.
Talking about stabbing, I just actually stabbed myself right now.
Don't stab yourself, Bacardi.
It was an accident. I was opening up a paper, one of those clothespins, the metal ones, and didn't realize it was open. Well, I was opening it, and I was trying to poke something, and I poked myself by accident. So,
Jeez, Bacardi, we need you around here, okay?
it was my finger. I'm fine. It's a little flesh wound.
It's a little flesh wound.
But beyond the gore and the ghost stories, Maria's case sparked public conversations about gender, justice. The Red Barn murder didn't end with the execution, though. It echoed. Maria Martin became a household name. She was a ghostly figure who haunted England's imagination. Her story was turned into ballads, plays, puppet shows. They made puppet shows for kids about it. And penny dreadfuls, obviously, because they had the broadsheet going. At one point, there were over 500 dramatic performances retelling her murder, and the earliest true crime pop culture phenomenon that we've ever recorded. The first one, it was in London. The barn itself became a tourist destination, And people started going there and chipping off pieces of the structure, like taking planks home and like pulling up the dirt and shit. And they took it home as macabre souvenirs. It's really a phenomena of humans. Like when we see like a big death scene or something really unexplainable, we'll go and we want like a souvenir from it. People want crazy shit like, let me get his finger bone. They actually had to demolish it in 1842. And it wasn't out of respect for the family or anything. It was just to stop the constant traffic of morbid curiosity. Shout out to Morbid.
Elena is my spirit animal, dude. Hi, Elena. We're going to be best friends.
The really sad part is that Maria was ignored because she was poor and unmarried and inconvenient.
Now, see, my theory on that is that one of the guys found her attractive, like how a lot of us, like, oh man, you see a goth girl, you're like, oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? Like they saw them back then. It's ingrained in our DNA. Like, oh damn, she looks different. She's cute. Let me go talk to her. And he didn't want it to get out that he slept with her, so he's like, witch. Yeah, that's my theory. That's my theory.
That's so fucked, Bacardi.
Hey, that's just one theory, okay? That's just a theory. That's not how it. I don't know if it did or not because I wasn't back then. But that is my theories that I have that came out to be.
And we still do things like that today. You know, victims like. Do you know any of these names? Conorax Synthasamphone. God, I hope I said that right. Mona Wilson. Or Wendy Caulfield?
Mona Wilson sounds familiar.
So they were all victims that were considered lesser dead. But I bet you know the names Dahmer, Picton, and Ridgway.
I know Dahmer.
Yeah, Conorack was one of Dahmer's victims. Mona Wilson was Willie Picton's victim on the pig ranch. And Wendy Caulfield was a victim of Gary Ridgway. All serial killers that we know very well. But no one ever remembers the victims' names, and I think that's pretty important because they were all dismissed or neglected because of who they were in society. And that's the real horror story. It's a haunting. It takes a haunting. We have to be haunted to care what happens to these people that we're considering in society less dead. And, you know, I think all of us should take a closer look at everybody. Because if you went missing, Bacardi, nobody else would notice, but I'd probably dream about you.
I know. Even my listeners will. I know you listeners will. Like, where'd he go? Why isn't he on the show? He was the show.
Is it because he stabbed himself?
No, it's my voice. My voice is so, yeah.
Yeah, everybody thinks you have a great voice. So, I mean, what are your reflections here, Cardi? I mean, we know that you believe in the supernatural, so you definitely think like Maria was a ghost. So she came back and said, "Hey, come get me. I'm under the barn."
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no ifs and buts about it. Especially my experiences with ghosts and angels and
all the things that rescue you when you crash your cars.
They're all the things I've seen. Yeah,
we definitely have to do a green room taping of you telling us all the things you've seen, because you've seen a lot of shit. I'm really into that. One day, if you just feel like chatting about it.
Grandma's rose garden.
Just magically appearing.
Grandma's rose garden. Angel saved me from a crash. Yeah, Angel saved me from a car crash.
Yeah.
And he got loads of stuff for y'all.
Bacardi is the spookiest thing on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Forget Victorian ghosts. Bacardi is spooky enough as it is.
Yep, but I'm very handsome. That's the spookiest thing right there. Like, how was he?
He is rather dashing. We'll say that. Well, all right, listeners. Thanks for creeping through the past with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Spookology, we'd love it if you left a review or at least told your friends that history is way weirder than school made it sound. You can find us on Spotify at our creator page or follow the show on Instagram, Patreon, Coffee, and Facebook. All of those links you can find in the show notes, or you can just search Spookology Podcast and we'll pop up like a ghost in the mirror. Every follow, tip, or share helps us keep digging into the strange, the haunted, and the historically cursed. Until next time, keep your eyes open. The past has a nasty habit of following you home.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Cardi.
Enjoyed it.
Oh,
I'll be here
yeah.
more and more.
It was fun.
Love you, listeners. Y'all have a good night.
We'll see you next week.